All right, as alluded to a minute ago, Liam Hendriks is going to be on the move, and the Rays are going to try and bolster the bullpen here. The Royals are in a rebuilding phase, and they're actually third in the AL Central right now, but they're still 8 games under 500. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to trade Liam Hendriks. We're just going to give him a fresh start back in the AL Central. And the caveat here, which is harder to arrange in the game than it would be in real life, but the caveat here with the Royals taking Hendriks back is that we are going to cover 100% of his contract this year and 75% of his contract next year, so they would not be paying him the $18 million. They'd just be paying him a couple million next year and give him a chance to, like I said, have a fresh start and work with their pitching coach, maybe retool his mechanics. And in exchange for Scott Barlow and Aroldis Chapman, both of whom are veteran relievers who are having good seasons, both on expiring contracts, in exchange for those guys, we are going to ship out Luis Patino, who's one of our best young starting prospects, 23-year-old having a good season right now in AAA with an ERA in the 2s. And also Taylor Walls, who's one of our best young infielders, versatile player, can play kind of all over the infield besides first base, switch hitter. So both those guys are going out along with Hendriks in exchange for Barlow and for Chapman. So we tack on a couple new guys in our bullpen. It's going to require some movement here in terms of some guys are going to have to go in different spots. I think what we're going to do is we're going to send Jeffrey Springs down to AAA because he's been having a rough go of it up in the majors. Good spot starter option to have, even though he hasn't pitched that well. And then what we'll do is we will keep Barlow and Chapman in non-closing roles just because Kendall Graveman has been absolutely lights out, 0.69 ERA. So he's kind of earned the right to be the incumbent closer, so we'll let that stay there. But Chapman gives us a flame-throwing lefty, if not certainly a controversial addition. But he has not given up a run so far this year, and Barlow has only given up 1. So between the two of them, they've pitched 24, almost 25 innings and surrendered 1 run. So hopefully they'll keep that magic going in Tampa Bay. And as a quick side note, the reason why this rotation is the way it is because it got out of whack at one point with regard to like DeGrom was going to be scheduled to pitch 2 days in a row, and that's not going to be good for anybody. So DeGrom is obviously the #1 starter in reality and is the ace, but move that around just to keep everybody on their correct scheduled starting day. So that's our first kind of in-season trade that we've made since this whole thing has gotten rolling, trying to boost the Rays bullpen. If we look at the budget, we actually did, funny enough, with trading Hendriks, we actually did trim some of our initial $322 million salary that we actually started playing games with, but we're still above the threshold of 295.6 and above 300 really. So all good there. And yeah, let's dive into Rays at Mets.
First game, we have Tommy Henry taking the hill against Marcus Stroman. Bottom of the first, Stroman finds himself in a bit of a jam. First and third, 1 out, but he's going to strike out Alvarez. And then get Will Smith here on a 1-2 pitch to fly out to right. So the game will remain scoreless, and that'll continue for a couple more innings. Top of the fourth, 1 on, nobody out. Salvador Perez going to single to right field and get a rally cooking for the Rays. So first and second, nobody out. A couple batters later, it's first and third, 2 outs, and Nolan Arenado is going to single past a diving Pete Alonso into right. So the Rays taking an early 1-0 lead. Bottom half of the same inning, Francisco Alvarez is going to tee up a 1-2 offering from Stroman and go deep to left just outside of the foul pole, 1.7 feet outside of the foul pole. 2 pitches later, Francisco Alvarez is going to take a 1-2 offering, go deep to left, And he keeps this one fair enough. That baby's gone. So the Mets tie the score at 1. Alvarez's 7th homer of the year. Top of the 5th. Nobody on, nobody out. Manuel Margot is going to chop one to short. And Pena is going to throw errantly to first. Alonso can't scoop it. And later on that same inning, 3rd and 1st, 1 out. That error is going to come around to score. As Salvador Perez flies one to center. Margot tags from 3rd and gives the Rays a 2-1 lead. Later on in the same inning, still 2-1, Randy Arozarena. Going to line one into the left field corner. 1 run's going to come around to score. But Yandy Diaz gets a little overexcited there. He gets thrown at the plate. But the Rays still do up their lead to 3-1. And then in the 7th, Trevor Rosenthal is going to run into some trouble. A walk to Salvador Perez sets up Yandy Diaz. Absolute detonation. And a bases-loaded grand slam blows this game wide open as the Rays take a 7-1 lead. The Mets would tack on 1 in the bottom of the 9th, but to no avail. The Rays take game 1 of this series by a count of 7-2. Game 2, we have Tyler McGill taking the hill, and he's going to find himself in trouble in the early going, but a pop-up to Chris Bryant is going to get McGill out of a bases-loaded jam. Zach Eflin on the hill for the Rays. Bottom of the 2nd, Francisco Alvarez, who went deep in yesterday's game. Why not do it again? Almost the exact same spot as his foul ball home run, just a little straighter this time. That baby's out of here. Alvarez is 8th on the year. So the Mets take an early 1-0 lead. Top of the 3rd with 2 outs, nobody on. Salvador Perez is going to lace one into the gap in left center. Leody Taveras is going to come up throwing, and an absolute howitzer from him is going to peg Perez at 2nd to end the inning. So the score remains 1-0 into the 5th. Randy Arozarena is going to change that, though. He's going to lace a home run to center field. So the Rays tie the score. 1 inning later, McGill finds himself in some trouble, but is able to pitch out of the 2-on, 2-out jam by getting Bryant to fly out. In the bottom half of the inning, Eflin also is facing a man in scoring position, but he strikes out Will Smith to end that inning. So the score stays locked at 1 heading to the 9th, where with a runner on 2nd and 2 outs, Manuel Margot, who's just been a thorn in the side for the Mets in this series, going to single to left, throw his way off the line. So that run will score, and then in the bottom half, the Mets can't mount a comeback. So the Rays take the 2nd game of this series by a count of 2-1, and they're going to go for the sweep tomorrow with Jacob deGrom on the hill. So, afternoon game to finish this one off. Justin Steele against Jacob deGrom, matchup of the aces. Scoreless still in the top of the 3rd. Steele is going to strand a runner on 2nd by getting a fly out to left. And then in the bottom of the 4th, runner on 1st, 2 outs. Brett Beatty's going to lace a single to left. Up to this point, the Mets had hardly even had anything going. And the next pitch is going to be singled up the middle by Will Smith. So the Mets go from being no hit to scoring a run in a matter of 2 pitches. So the home team takes a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the 5th, they look to add some more, but a spectacular diving play by Nolan Arenado is going to take away a hit from Adolis Garcia. Still 1-0 Mets in the top of the 7th, and Justin Steele is going to strike out somebody looking to end that half of the inning. Bottom half of the 7th, deGrom's day is over as he retires the final hitter he faces on a fly ball to right. So it's still 1-0 Mets, top of the 8th. Dennis Santana is going to come in. Bullpen's a little worn down from overuse the past couple of days. And the first batter he faces is Brandon Lau, who's going to double, taking advantage of the Mets shift. Next guy up is Manuel Margot, and he's going to bloop one to right. Brett Beatty completely butchers it in right field. So that ball is going to end up kicking around the corner. Margot is going to go all the way to 3rd with a triple, although it probably should be a single and an error on Beatty. Next hitter up is Wander Franco, and all of a sudden, fly ball to right is going to get the Rays a go-ahead run, and what was a dominant pitching performance by Steele goes by the wayside as the Rays take a 2-1 lead. Bases loaded later that same inning, 2 out. Yandy Diaz smokes one to right, But Beatty makes up for it, makes a good play. New addition Scott Barlow, recently acquired from Kansas City in the Liam Hendricks trade, is going to come on to try and hold the lead, and he will fail as Adolis Garcia is going to take a 3-2 pitch and tie this ball game up with a homer to left. Huge homer there for the Mets. Top of the 10th, Felix Bautista in to try and keep the score tied, and he will not, as Chris Bryant laces a single to left, so the Rays take a 3-2 lead. Bottom half of that same inning, though, Harold Castro playing first base, giving Pete Alonso the day off. He's going to single to left. That run's going to come around to score. So the Mets and Rays trading runs here in extra innings. Bottom of the 10th, the Mets still have a chance to win this ball game. But Aroldis Chapman, the other reliever acquired in that Liam Hendricks trade, is going to get a pop out and a fly out. So the winning run is stranded 90 feet from home for the Mets, and we'll see if they'll come to rue that, as in the top half of the next inning, Yandy Diaz, leading off, is going to lace a single to center. That run will come around to score. And then the bottom of the 11th, Francisco Alvarez comes up, and he's going down swinging on a Chapman fastball. Last chance for the Mets, Brett Beatty, and he is no match for another Chapman fastball. So the Rays, crazy final game, do end up sweeping the series against the Mets.